hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you never miss my show. Whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, here's our first guest. Is there a part of you that has imposter syndrome? If you're being candid with the audience, that you do come from humble beginnings, you have had ups and downs, you are, coming off of, you haven't had a 6-fight win streak even right now, if we're being candid, right? So is there a part of you that has to overcome these mental demons, so to speak, of believing you belong, believing you can win, that I think most people struggle with? Or have you passed that stage of your life?
I think I definitely still have a certain degree of it, but I think I've gotten to the point where it's been revealed to me enough through life, the course of life, that the older you get, the more people you come into contact with, the more people you train with, or you're in business with, or you watch their work ethic, or you watch how they live their lives, both in front of the camera, behind the camera, and behind closed doors, in front of the public. And you start to really look around and take stock and think, you know what? I do think that the gold and diamonds was reserved for God's people, not the devil's bunch. I do think that the good among us are supposed to go out and capture those things. And before, it used to be like, yeah, but you don't deserve it. You don't deserve that. And if you do get that, well, what's going to happen? Maybe you're going to start rubbing people the wrong way. And I think I've gotten over that and realized, man, if you don't have a bunch of fruit on the back of your cart, you can't pass it out to people. If you've got nothing on your cart, you can't pass it out to people. And I do think I have a duty to be successful, because I can then use it to change people's lives. Where until I got to a certain point, it was like, well, I'm a little bit afraid. You actually were the first person I heard you talked about the thermometer, right? And I was that guy. Like, I'm okay with the thermometer getting to here, but I'm a little nervous if it gets too high. And that thermometer just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And I'm getting okay with it each time. So I do think I have a little bit of a degree of that. As once again, you keep leveling up. Every time you level up, now you're into a new realm. So of course there's a little bit of it, but you say, wait a second, I've been here before. Let me watch how this plays out. And at the end of the day, when I lay my head on the pillow at night, I know that I deserve it. I'm one of those guys who deserves to go and capture that because of the way that I live my life.
That's exactly right. You've earned this. And by the way, everyone, a little bit of everything in moderation is actually good. So a little bit of imposter syndrome keeps you what you see in this young man right here. Humble, keeps you training hard, reminds you, I better outwork this dude because maybe I don't have everything they have. A lot of imposter syndrome will cause your thermometer to turn the air conditioner on and you'll cool your life back down. So a little bit of it is not, you don't have to eradicate all of your imposter syndrome. You have to eradicate that it's your dominant thought. But to have that in the back a little bit is not all that bad. I have it, which is what causes me to prepare for a speech or a podcast. It's what's caused me to save my money, because I don't believe all my press clippings. I don't believe I'm always going to win. Everything's entitled to me. And so it's a healthy thing to some extent. Let me ask you this. I was watching some fights, preparing for, our work. And my son's like, Dad, these guys are so good. And, I've hit bags and spar, and you know all that part of my background. And I said, Max, the different thing that you don't realize, because it looks like a video game when you watch people fight, is they're getting hit and still throwing punches back at the same time. That's the one thing I think when people watch any sort of combat, whether it's Mikey's sport and boxing or yours, they just underestimate how difficult it is to absorb punishment and return it. It's one thing to just dole out punishment into a bag, right? Or to hit mitts. It's a very different thing. And that's really, I told my son, I said, Max, that's the game of life. The game of life is everything looks good at the seminar. When you read the book or listen to the podcast, it's sort of like these offensive strategies. But the people that I've seen win, and I want you to talk about this in fighting it in your life, the people that I've seen win, they have this very special ability to absorb a punch and still throw back. And that's the separator in life, and it certainly is in sports as well. So just speak to that, Michael. I mean, metaphorically, you do it in there. And by the way, you may want to be the greats at all time at doing that. This is a dude who almost out on his feet can still knock people out better than anybody that's ever probably been in the sport, or at least one of them. But what about that fact of life and actually in the sport, literally?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because I do think metaphorically, right, there's a lot of similarities there. But even realistically, I think from a physical standpoint, I think sometimes it's easier to take the blows inside of taking huge shots inside of a fight and keep coming forward, where because there's not as much of an ego involved, because I'm not really worried about how everybody perceives the punch that just landed on me. Whereas in life, in business, in our relationships, we have a failed account or a failed relationship, or we have a setback here. Immediately, everybody stops and thinks, looks in the mirror and says, "What's everybody else thinking around me?" Whereas in mixed martial arts, I don't have the time, and I call it a luxury. I have the luxury of not having any time. If I sit and I dwell on that one punch that just landed and it rocked me, and I start thinking about what the people in the nosebleeds or in the front row are thinking about that shot that just landed, the second, the third, the fourth are going to come, and the knockout is going to ensue. Whereas in life, a lot of times we are stifled and stymied so much by, we take one blow, we take one shot, we take one setback, and we're just worried about everything else, instead of just, the definition of persistence is continuing in a course of action with complete disregard to previous failures and future opposition, right? So in life, we stop and we think way too much about what's everybody else thinking, or how is this going to look on social media? What are the press clippings going to say? Like you said, there's so much to it. And I've gotten really good at, and this happened to me when I came to the UFC. Like you said, I was outside the UFC, relative obscurity. I trained hard. I was a good athlete, but I wasn't a famous athlete. Then all of a sudden you come over, you're the biggest free agent signing maybe in UFC history, and everything doubles, and five times the following, and five times the interviews, and five times the platform. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I better get used to public criticism very quickly, or else this ship's going to sink. So I've just gotten really good at realizing, man, no matter what, this is my race that I'm running, and I love you, but it's still my race. And I love my wife, my kids, and I love my coaches, but this is still my race. And if I can just focus on me and know that if I just keep moving forward, and if anything, we don't follow people because of their successes. We follow people more even for their failures, because they were able to overcome something. People love us. People love a comeback. And that's what my whole story has been about. I am a blueprint for how you get knocked down, get back up, and keep moving forward, and then somehow end up in the biggest fight of the last decade.